Welcome back to Down the Track, and we are just hours away from the Mega IPL auction. After 4 years, we have the big auction. This might be the last auction in a while for sure. I have with me two big IPL fans and experts, Vinay Hariharan and punter Puneet Sinheni. I beg your pardon for the pronunciation, but what's going up, man? I've never called you with your last name, but what's up? How are you, punter?
All good, buddy. All good. Excited for tomorrow's auction and hopefully good, strong teams made for all the teams so that it's a good and healthy competition.
Yeah, for sure. And Vinay, what's up, man? How are you?
All good, man. Just really excited for tonight's first day for the IPL auction. So let's go. Let's see some big bucks pouring out for some of the players there.
I mean, yeah, like, we always talk about, the unethical part, like, humans are being auctioned and this and that, and, the money, and, we talk about in our culture, the nazar, the evil eye, and everything. But when it comes to the eve of the auction, we're always excited. We want to know who's going for the most money, who's going to which team, is our team getting big players? We always look at that. But, Pandra, if I ask you first, who do you think will be the person who receives the highest bid tomorrow?
See, knowing the past auctions, you never know what's going to happen. If you stay and you feel the talent which is currently in the IPL auction, you feel that a Ishan Kishan or a David Warner would go for the highest price, but you never know what's going on in the management's mind, right? They might just go on. There might be some ego issues as well between two managements, and they fight for a person, maybe even a youngster, and then they go for big bucks. And as you said, that there's this thing with the culture, thinking about how much this guy is going for and this, and we never used to know that before, prior to IPL, right? Before IPL, we never knew that how much the cricketers make and how much do they earn yearly. Then they started coming up with these contract brackets and stuff. But then later on in IPL, you exactly know how much per guy is making. So it's like a different thing from the culture. But yes, if you see Ishan Kishan and David Warner, I feel they are the topmost on the list, and they might make the highest bucks.
Yeah, and I think that also adds an extra pressure when they go with that price tag, with that high price tag. You
True.
can see, like, a lot of people, they actually succumb under the pressure. Whether it was Unatkat, he went for a lot of money, and then everyone says we sit in our houses and like this,
Yeah.
how do we receive 16 crores for this kind of bowling, this and that. But I think
Absolutely.
at the end of the day, they're cricketers. They're selling a product. They're selling like their talents, and if someone's buying them, then you can't blame them, right? It's not their fault they're going for that much money or less money.
True. True.
It's basically you see what you get, kind of, and you will have situations where some people will get paid more, some people get paid less, but that's luck, I guess, right? That's your
That's
fate.
like as well. Yeah, and you also
Yeah.
see in the commentary they always emphasize, they keep emphasizing Unatkat gone for 16 crores this year and Chris Morris gone for 18 crores. So it's like, if even people are not thinking it that way, the commentators also add that extra pressure on the player itself, like during the commentary. And people are like,
That's
oh my
exactly.
God, how come these guys got him for such so many bucks, wasted so much money, this and that. So it always goes haywire for the management that way. But yeah, hopefully it's good decisions by all the management this year.
I do have a
Yep. And
question for both of you. So, like some players actually moved like teams and stuff so that they don't get like lesser price and stuff. Like, so example, Rashid Khan, right? He didn't want lesser price, so he moved to a team that can offer him that much amount. So imagine like he's getting what 16 crores right now. Imagine they
15, I
pick up
think. Yeah.
15 or 16, whatever.
15 crores.
Imagine if say Shreyas Iyer goes into that team and he
Yeah.
gets 17 crore bid. What's gonna happen to that kind of atmosphere at that point? Especially like players who actually specifically chose money over team.
I honestly think that they won't be able to go for that much. They can't have players with that high prices. You have three players, 15, 15, and 17. I don't think that will happen. But if it does happen, then what are you going to do? You can't do anything about it, right? It's Rashid Khan
Yeah.
chose not to go into the auction, or he was satisfied with the 15 crores. If he wanted to go to the auction, he didn't go to Sunrisers. He could have gone into the auction, right? It was his choice to go to Ahmedabad. He wasn't like, there was no attachment there with Sunrisers. Yes, he's played with the club and stuff. You can say that he was attached and
Yep.
whatever. But I think over here, it's you can't. What can you do? It's like it's Shreyas Iyer's fate more than anything.
Absolutely. Adding to Vinay's point, I understand where he's coming from. In 2008, if you remember, Sachin Tendulkar being the biggest cricketer for Indian history, and he was bought by Mumbai Indians, and then Dhoni went for the maximum bet. So there was always a talk going on within the country that how come Dhoni went more than Sachin Tendulkar. So it's always not in their hands. Sachin took that decision to play for Mumbai. They were retained as a icon player, and then Dhoni went in the auction and got the money as per the auction value. So obviously, it's nothing on the player itself. If they've made that decision, you have to take it. Obviously, there might be a player who will go more than you in the auction itself. That's the
Yeah,
risk
and
what they take.
also there's like endorsements, deals, and this and that the clubs promise that we don't know of. I think we don't know exactly how much those are, because if you look at it, even this year, the same example Punter is giving, KL Rahul went more than Virat Kohli. He's I think 1 crore more he was retained for. I think he went for 17, Virat Kohli went for 16. So it's a similar situation to that Sachin and Dhoni thing. Virat Kohli
Absolutely.
is a bigger player,
Yeah.
but right now KL Rahul is the man in form and the man that you want in your team, so he's going for more money. So, and I think it's also about building brands. One thing, Vinay, I wanted to ask you, how much is it? Because this discussion I always have with punters. So like he's kind of on my side on this, but I just wanted to hear this from you that being an Indian and then being a brand kind of thing, how important is that when buying a player? Because I feel somebody, like a David Warner, if you compare him to an Indian batsman, I would take David Warner in my team for more money, but because you're Indian and you're looking at that, that zone, like someone like Ishan Kishan or Shreyas Iyer, let's say Shreyas Iyer, I would prefer Warner in my team over Shreyas Iyer just because of past IPL experiences.
Yep.
But but how important is it for a club to actually invest in Iyer and not Warner, just because to build that brand and that Indian backing, basically? Because you see the fan followings, the ones who have the big Indian players have better following.
It's not just about the fan following and just how audience actually take it and stuff, right? So if you actually see the team composition, you can only slot in 4 international players. They can be even mediocre or even like really well established international players, but the essence of your team is the core Indian 7 that you actually need, right? A lot of teams go to that ploy where even they play like 8 Indians and stuff, like how Mumbai Indians has done in the past. Even Delhi, for that matter, has done in the past. So when you have a lot of Indians, that actually strengthens your team more rather than just bringing just 4 superstar international players and then not actually focusing on your Indian bunch as well. So it's very important that the teams need to build their own Indian core players that they need for their team to actually strive and win the IPLs.
Yeah, Padre, you want to add anything to that?
See, I somewhat agree to what Vinay just said. Obviously, having core Indians is very important for any team because that's your playing. That's more than 70% of your playing level, and only 4 foreigners allowed. So, if you are investing more money in your foreigners and less in your Indian players, the current squad, it'll be difficult for running the team for a long run. Now, every team would need to see it's mega auctions now. You need to build a team from scratch. Most of the players have been divided. All the teams are cut down to 3 or 4 players. Now you're building an absolutely new team. The value of CSK is currently $1 billion, while value of RCB is near $1 billion. Why is that so? Because they have built a team. Now, if the team is separated, how can you rebuild that? By getting the youngsters, by investing more on the Indians, by making the team stronger for long run. If you can't have them for long run, it doesn't make sense. You can have say 11 amazing foreigners. Only 4 will be playing in that. Actually, you're not allowed to have you're only allowed to have 7. So 7 good foreigners, you invest a lot in them, but because of their country calls, maybe some injuries, they are not coming to play, then you can't have that consistency. So to maintain that consistency, you need to have more Indian players, more youngsters. If you see players like Pandya, Krunal Pandya, Surya Kumar, Ishan Kishan, they were built in Mumbai Indians and they came and played for India. That even helped the country as well. Even Siraj, uh, maybe Padikkal and Gaikwad coming soon to play for India. Why? Because these teams are backing the youngsters. So
Hmm.
continue doing that and build a good team, build a big market. Obviously, brand value adds.
And
I'll
also,
flip. Yeah.
sorry, also like the players who are actually signing and coming through, right? Those are getting backed in the IPL. That is why they're actually getting selected to like Indian teams, and even some of the players, foreigners and stuff. Marco Jansen, right? He came out of nowhere, and right now he's selected in all three formats for South Africa, right? So these kind of things are the stepping stone for them because this is the biggest league that is being followed all over. So there are so many eyes on this one. That is why everyone who is actually in there is taking it very seriously and taking it more on themselves to perform in these kind of leagues and make a name for themselves.
Yeah, but honestly, like, Pandit, you mentioned youngsters, right? I mean, I completely understand where you guys saying you should have a good Indian core because, they're the majority who are going to play. But you see, KKR, Kolkata Knight Riders, they invested heavily in the, especially under 19 youngsters that did really well under Prithvi Shaw. But it's been 4 years, and you can say that they didn't really repay their faith. Yes, they reached the finals, but that was more to do with the likes of Venkatesh Iyer and Varun Chakravarti and your foreigners. And these other two came from a different kind of scope, and they're not youngsters per se, right? Venkatesh is like 26, 27. So it's kind of how you approach it. You might need Indians also in their peak of their careers. You might need Indians in their 24, 25. So you have to be very selective. It becomes a bit difficult. It becomes tricky because if you pick someone too young, especially three, four of them, it's not like they might not repay you. Like KKR actually experienced that.
I agree with you that KKR didn't, but if you see, KKR didn't back their bowlers. For example, Nagarkoti, Shivam Mavi, and Prasid Krishna. How many times did you see being dropped the next game itself after each game? They were not backing them continuously. You need to give certain amount of players certain number of games. If they are not performing consistently for say 4 or 5 games, then you get the change. You see, every game there was a change with the bowlers. Especially, they heavily invested in Shivam Mavi and Nagarkoti and Prasid Krishna. And I was shocked that they did not retain Prasid Krishna the way he was bowling for them as well. And after being selected for India and the way he performed in the West Indies series as well. So I totally agree with you regarding Nitish Rana and Rahul Tripathi. Yes, they are not youngsters. Youngsters, they have been playing around. They've been playing in different teams as well before KKR, and KKR did invest on them. But again, you see, they lost the plot by not having a consistency of their positions. You see, sometime Nitish Rana opening, you see sometime Nitish Rana coming two down. You see, sometime Rahul Tripathi opening, you see Rahul Tripathi coming two down. They had to have a consistent plan. Morgan is a very good captain. He knew how to go around and play with these players, but the management had to back these youngsters and give them that go ahead. You will be playing here, you would be performing here. If you don't do well, you will still have 2 or 3 games, and then you go ahead. We saw how Dhoni backed Gaikwad. 5 games in the start of the IPL, he did not perform, but still Chennai backed him, kept him as the opener. He wasn't changed to go 2 down or 3 down, and then you see what results he gave you. So I think that's where KKR missed the plot, and not backing them was the major concern rather than investing heavily on them.
See,
Vinay.
one thing I do want to add, like you talked about under 19 players, right? They're already in the limelight when they come to play like World Cups and stuff. They're already kind of in the limelight. But the stage at what they are performing is completely different when it switches over to an age group and stuff. Not every single player who has performed in the under 19 levels during the World Cup or anything might perform so well when it comes to international cricket, right? You like big names came up, like Unmukh Chand. He was the biggest name when he came into the IPL auction. And some of the other players who actually came as the big names when they came into the IPL auction itself. And Venkatesh Iyer, another example. He was an unknown. Like I probably didn't even know when he played, like which, like even state level cricket he was playing for, right? So there are so many unknowns and so many players that come through these ranks, and whoever grasps at that moment and whoever has their head in the game, that's who performs, right? So you can't really say that okay, you played under 19, so you should be automatically picked up. No, like you do that limelight, you mature yourself, you improve your game, and you keep learning. That's how you actually build your confidence and perform well in these kind of tournaments at least.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think, like, it also youngsters. I mean, the likes of Marvin Agarkoti, their situation also, they were injured soon as they were selected. So, like, Kolkata also didn't have the chance to really back them. And I honestly feel it's not just them I'm talking about. Even if you look at Prithvi Shaw, it's taking him time as well, like, to get used to it. Pant,
But Delhi
now
is
we see
backing
him
them.
in the.
Delhi is backing him. He is opening consistently. Maybe 1 or 2 games he misses out, but he is being open consistently.
Yeah, he's opening, but that's what I'm saying. But he's not really returning on that investment. That's my point. Like, he's not really returning on the investment that they're saying. And I think that's the thing. Like, you just need to have a good balance in terms of
But I
experience,
don't
youth,
think he had
and
a bad season last year. He did
he
pretty
didn't.
well.
Yeah, he didn't. He probably didn't have a bad season, but notice that I think there's a couple of amazing innings. But then when they went to Dubai again, he struggled. He has a major weakness that he needs to work on, like that incoming ball and the certain
Absolutely.
weaknesses that he has. And if you notice, like in Delhi, who was the one that we were looking at? Who were you picking in your fantasy teams? Both of you were picking Shikhar Dhawan.
Yeah.
So that so that's what it is. Like a lot of, even
That
if
was
you just look
strategic
at.
move. That was strategic move, not because.
No, like
No, 100%. It was
even my
shocking that
example.
Shikhar wasn't retained.
Yeah,
Yeah.
even my example, like Sunrisers Hyderabad, you'd say like some of the youngsters didn't get back, but they do get chances. It's they don't perform on those chances. Whether it's Priyam Garg, whether it's Abhishek Sharma, Abdul Samad has been given a lot of chances. They haven't reached that level. And if you see Sunrisers in 2016, they had Ashish Nehra, they had Naman Oja, they had Yuvraj Singh. So I'm not saying to get older players, but even if you look at Chennai, they have like Shardul Thakur, who's in his 30s. You have what's his name, Dhoni. You have Raina. You have Uttappa. So I think there needs to be a kind of blend. Like you can't just go with one section. Chennai have done it with over-experienced players, but I think there
Yeah.
needs to be a blend. It's very difficult. That's why it's open to discussion. I'm not right. You're not right. It's very difficult to analyze. That's why this auction is going to be fun the way they go. But yeah, I was thinking let's do like a fun exercise and then we can go ahead. First of all, let me know what do you guys think what has been your favorite auction memory so far? If you can think about it, I can give you mine while you think.
Sure, go ahead.
Go ahead.
My favorite auction memory, I think it was the Kolkata and Bangalore when they were fighting over. No, first was the Pollard one. Bangalore and Mumbai, they were fighting over Pollard in 2010. That was crazy bid war. I really enjoyed that. And the other one was Bangalore and Kolkata for Yuvraj Singh, where it ended at 9 crores. And then KKR said that, listen, we bid, you didn't see us, reopened the bid, which never happened before. So those were fun parts.
That was mine too, actually. No, I was just going to say that.
Yeah, those two parts.
I don't remember who the player was, but I remember there was a big war going on between Mumbai and Punjab, and in the end, CSK took the player. It was for a big. Who?
Sam Curran?
I'm not sure who the player was, but that was something really funny to watch when you were watching it live.
Yeah, no, there's going to be stuff like that as well now because there's going to be so
100%.
many players. There's going to be so many players. You mentioned, the likes of Prasidh, Krishna, Avesh Khan. These guys will go for some good money, but it'll be interesting to see how they go about it, the owners, because, they know that they have limited purses. Some have more than others. So some guys will be jacking prices. I think the likes of Mumbai Indians and people who have lesser purse, they're going to be, trying to up the bid, but not going for the player, just up the bid so that, they can go for another player. Let's talk about...
What was just a question for you both? What was the most surprising one for you in terms of money? In terms of a particular player who got more money?
Had to be Untitled for me.
Yeah, I think it has to be Untitled. In football, I can tell you Harry Maguire.
Not Arjun Tendulkar.
Sorry.
Not Arjun Tendulkar getting 20 lakhs.
No, I was not getting that.
Ashish, no, some people cannot digest that, but like for me, like it's okay. Like I understood he got it, but let's just do a fun exercise. I'm going to give you two players each. I'll give you some stats, and then you tell me who's going to be get the highest higher bid amongst the two. Yeah. So let's go first with Shreyas Iyer and Ishan Kishan. Both of you can hear the stats. Iyer, his IPL average, or this is career average, is 31.66. Strike rate is 123, 16 50s, and he's captained the Delhi Capitals to the IPL finals in 2020, right? So captain material. Ishan Kishan, he's the second player we're going to compare with. The average of 28.47, so it's a bit less than Iyer. Strike rate of 136, 950s, wicket keeper option, and potential captain. And in 2020, his average was really good. It was around close to 50. So he's getting there. So Pantra, I'll go with you first because one is they're both potential Mumbai buys, but yeah, who do you think is going to get the higher bid?
See, at the start of the podcast, I always said that I think Ishan Kishan and Warner would go for the highest. But after this question, I actually might change my mind, thinking that there are teams who are looking for captains. And if you want to have a captain, you will invest more in that player. Ishan Kishan is not captain material. Shreyas Iyer is. And currently, he's performing well for India as well. He played well in the Test and the ODI. Now, hopefully, he plays well in the T20. That will definitely jack up his price. So, I feel with a very thin line or a thin margin, Shreyas Iyer might go higher than Ishan Kishan just because of his captaincy.
Okay, hold that thought. I'm going to come to you with that. And Vinay.
So, in terms of both the players, Kishan is more a utility player. Kishan is more of a utility player because he has two skills, right? Batting and keeping. He provides two things in the team. But in terms of an overall player and a maturity and who can actually win you games and take your team and actually take your team towards winning and stuff, I feel Shreyas Iyer is much better composed in that sense and much more mature than Ishan Kishan. So I feel he'll get more bids than Ishan Kishan. But it'll be a close margin. I don't think it'll be like too much of a difference in terms of money allocation. But I think Shreyas Iyer is going to beat Ishan Kishan in terms of bid.
Yep, I'm going to disagree with both of you. So you guys can tell me tomorrow, look, Musti, you were wrong. But I'm still going to disagree, even if he does get bid more. I feel that Ishan Kishan will go for more. The only problem is that I have a feeling I'm going to be wrong because he's not in the first category. I think that's the only thing stopping him, right? If he was in the first category, 100% he would be the most expensive. And the reason is he's a wicket-keeping batsman. Yeah, you can talk about younger in age, but there's not. I wouldn't go too much into that. I think wicket-keeping batsman, swashbuckling, very good strike rate. He's won a championship. Also, Punter, where you said captaincy, right? He's actually captained the Indian under-19 team to a final. So he has that in him. You can groom him. I'm not saying to make him captain currently. And also, what I think, you're completely right that players are looking for captains.
Teams are looking for captains.
Teams are looking for captains. But if a team pays extra for a captain, then they're going a bit wrong path. If you're paying extra for a captain, then you're like, what are you doing? You have to. I think you need to go with the roles that you need and then find a captain from there. You know what I mean? It's a risk, but because Shreyas Iyer is yes, he's captain before in the IPL, which gives him an advantage. But he's like, I don't know, would you call him like a proven captain? For me, David Warner would be that. I would go with David Warner if you're looking for a captain, right? But even him, I wouldn't invest that much money because you still have to look at he's a foreign player. He's getting older. You're looking at all these things. But for me, Ishan Kishan, I think he can be groomed into the next captain. He can be what Pant is now. When you invested that much money in Pant before, he can be that. And he's actually captained the likes of Rishabh Pant and stuff. Vinay will probably know this, but he's captained the likes of Pant and stuff in the under-19. So he has that in him, I think.
It was the weirdest combo of opening batsmen in that World Cup, if I remember.
Yeah.
Pant and Kishan opening some other opener used to come like 2 down, 3 down and stuff.
And that Avesh Khan in that, there was a lot of guys who are now doing well. So it does take time. That under-19 was in 2016. So it does take, or 2014 or 16. So it takes time for these players to reach their peak. You know what I mean?
I
Yeah,
just wanted
Punter.
to add the reason why I changed my mind. I totally feel that Ishan Kishan is the go-to guy now because he's a wicketkeeper batsman. The
Yeah.
only thing that changed my mind now is the 2011 auction, mega auction, in which
Hmm.
KKR actually bought Gambhir for the max bucks from Delhi.
Yeah.
They because they were looking for a captain.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So they were looking him for a captain for a long-term prospect. He was in his form of his life, and that's the main reason I feel if they are looking for someone who they feel can carry the team for the next 3 or 4 years, they will
Hmm.
spend big bucks.
Yeah, I think honestly that you guys will probably be right because of the captaincy. But for me, it's more he's in that first category, you know, and
Yeah,
he provides captaincy, but then Ishan Kishan provides wicket keeping also. So he also has an additional thing that he provides.
absolutely,
But I
absolutely. As I said,
but
thin margin,
you
very thin
but it's
margin.
good that you
Yeah.
changed because I think you will be right unless someone like a Mumbai Indians doesn't buy anybody or like a team is observing. You guys made a good point yesterday about Ashwin off the record. If someone does that and doesn't go for a player and saves their money, then Ishan Kishan will go for a lot.
Yeah.
I feel the other teams will also play with Mumbai Indians' emotions. If they don't buy
Right.
anything from the first 10, they might just jack up Ishan Kishan's price and sell it to Mumbai Indians for a
Hunter is
big
gone. Can you
amount.
hear him, Vinay?
Yeah, I can hear him.
I can't hear you guys talk. You guys talk. I'll come.
Okay.
Sorry. So yeah, so just was saying that if the other teams actually play with Mumbai Indians emotions, they might just jack up Ishan Kishan's price for Mumbai Indians if they don't buy anyone from the top 10
Yeah.
list. So there might be a chance where Mumbai Indians go all out and teams make advantage of that by just letting Mumbai Indians buy Ishan Kishan for big bucks and cutting down their purse.
Yep. Now, you ready for the next one?
Sure.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be very quick, this one, because I think I know all your answers, and this is just because it's going to be it's timing. So you'll understand Kagiso Rabada and Jofra Archer. The stats are interesting, though. Rabada's 50 matches, 76 wickets at an average of 20.52. Excellent average. Economy 8.21. Now, Archer is 35 matches, 46 wickets, average 21.32. So there's only one difference in the average. Economy 7.13. So Kagiso Rabada has slightly better average and Archer has slightly better economy. But Archer is available next season. So, who's getting the higher bid?
Rabada for sure.
Vinay, Rabada.
I'm gonna go opposite. I'm gonna say Archer.
Wow.
Well,
Vinay, yes.
technically and mathematically it does not work, but okay. It's Vinay's choice.
Yeah.
Because having
Vinay
not
read some
playing for a
article-
year,
Vinay read some article about a secret bid, so yes. But yeah, fair enough. Let's see. We don't know, but like even I think it's going to be Rabada. Like I'm like 99% certain, but Vinay always has
I'm
tricks.
99.99%.
Yeah. But yeah, so the next one is the CSK battle, Shardul Thakur versus Deepak Chahar. Thakur 61 matches, 67 wickets, average 27.86, economy 8.89. Deepak Chahar 63 matches, 59 wickets, average 29.18, and economy 7.80. So Chahar's economy is better, but Thakur's average is better. Who are you going for, punter?
No,
Higher
let's ask Vinay first. Otherwise he changes his
Deepak
mind.
Chahar.
Deepak Chahar. Deepak Chahar. Because
And why so?
another thing I'd like to add, they're both contributing with the bat these days. I don't have the batting statistics because they still average like 10, 11 in the IPL. Punter, who do you think is going to go?
I feel Shardul Thakur and I have a reason for that. The reason is we saw in the last IPL and today also in today's game, we saw that Deepak Chahar has lost a little bit of pace compared to what he used to have before. Definitely his swing is still there, but Shardul Thakur has more variations compared to Deepak Chahar. They both are neck to neck, but I feel Shardul Thakur will go way higher than Deepak Chahar just because CSK was backing Shardul Thakur more compared to Deepak Chahar in the last season itself.
Yeah, Vinay, you said Chahar, Punter says Thakur. I'll go with Deepak Chahar. I just slightly, I think, because new ball bowler, right? New ball bowler, and he's batting really well as well. But for me, it's just those 2-3 overs in the power play.
Yeah.
Also, But the thing is, that doesn't mean he's going to perform better than Thakur, because the Chahar perform. They both did under Dhoni, so we don't know what's going to happen in
True.
another captain. But I think that Chahar will go for a bit more, just because of the new ball thing. Then the spin battle, Yuzvendra Chahal versus Rahul Chahar. One is experienced, one is younger. They've one's won championships, the other hasn't. Punter, I'll go with you first. Who's going to go higher?
See, two aspects. UZ experience, Rahul Chahar, youngster, needed for long term. Thinking of a long term, Rahul Chahar, but I feel UZ will go for more bucks because he has that experience.
Easy for me.
Juicy Chahal. Yeah, I think that is going to be Chahal as well. That's what I feel. The last one, I don't have full stats because Mitchell Marsh got injured in the last 2 years playing for Sunrisers. He hasn't played, but him versus Jason Holder. There's a lot of talk that Jason Holder might be one of the highest foreign, especially. He might even be competing with the likes of Ayer and stuff just because of his recent performances. But again, it's also recency bias. We have that thing. Oh, he did amazing against England. He's doing really good against India. He picked up 4 wickets today as well against Mitchell Marsh, who's won the World Cup and had a really good performance with the bat. Vinay, who are you going for?
Jason Holder.
You're going Jason Holder. Punter.
See, first of all, I don't feel that they're the right match. Like, obviously, yes, they both are all-rounders. Mitch Marsh being an Australian all-rounder, but he's not been bowling that much for Australia itself. Whereas Holder is picking up a lot of wickets.
That
So
could
I
be a
feel,
reason for you to.
I'm sorry?
That could be a reason for you to go Holder. He is an all-rounder, so we have to compare him. It's like Hardik
Yeah,
Pandya.
100%. That's why I'm saying Holder might just have the upper hand over Mitch Marsh. Otherwise, as a player, if I would compare, which I can't currently, I would have gone with Mitch Marsh. But current performances and current contribution towards the teams, I feel it's going to be just good.
Also, Jason Holder has been showing up to the IPL. He's in his early 30s, but he's showing up to the IPL. He came as Mitchell Marsh replacement. Mitchell Marsh, one I think was bubble fatigue. He didn't come, and one he was injured, so he's not. So, I think
we saw Holder almost winning the match for SRH with the bat and the ball separately on separate occasions. So definitely,
he's been great. He's been the reason why they made the playoffs, I think, in 2020. He's been great over there. I think that wraps up the battles from that side. But let's just talk about the foreign players. We've talked about a lot of. Let's talk about not foreign players. Let's talk about the bowlers. Let's talk about Rabada. Let's talk about Prasidh Krishna, Avesh Khan, Deepak Chahar. How are teams going to look at this? Vinay, you can go first. Even spin bowlers like Chahar, how are teams going to approach this? I feel that, there will be more heavy investment on bowlers, because we've seen that teams who have an amazing death bowling and opening bowling combination do really well, whether it's Mumbai Indians, Delhi Capitals, Sunrisers in 2016, even before that, Chennai this year. So how do you see the bowlers getting split and stuff like that?
To be honest, some of the teams go for raw pace rather than going for more versatile fast bowlers and stuff. They try to go for those raw pace bowlers like Lockie Ferguson or someone like Rabada even, right? And even if you see I'm not remembering any other raw pace bowlers, but that's been a trend across certain teams. Not Dale. I won't say Dale Steyn has raw pace only because he has that swing and everything. But at least if you see Rabada and Nokia as well as Lockie Ferguson and stuff, they don't have that much of swing, but they have that pace, the raw pace and the length that they deliver at, which actually brings them much higher than some of the bowlers and stuff. So I feel even Mark Wood for that matter. So these players would go for higher bids in terms that's been a trend across IPL teams, is what I feel. And spin heavy is definitely something that every team usually looks, especially if the tournament is happening in India. They go for a spin heavy because Indian pitches are more conducive to spin rather than pace. So that's why they go for that combination of raw pace and a spin heavy bowling attack. Is what I feel typically is the mantra for most of the IPL teams.
Yeah, Punter?
See, for me, For me, there are two different criteria. One is obviously raw pace, as Vinay said, so in which Rabada, Pat Cummins, Mark Wood would come. Then we have players like Harshal Patel, Avesh Khan, Shardul Thakur, and Deepak Chahar, who can do a bit of different stuff. Then and Hazelwood would be in between both of the
Yeah.
criteria. Right? And then you have an extremely slower fast bowler, which is DJ Bravo. So there are different criterias in bowling as well. Uh, it depends. See, I actually also wanted to ask you guys a question. Earlier days, IPL used to IPL team management used to make teams as per their grounds. For example, Chennai used to get in more spinners because they knew they were going to play 6 games in Chennai and 6 games away,
Yeah.
so they could plan their team and make their team. Currently, they don't even know where they're going to play. We never know because of COVID restrictions. Are we going to play more in India, more in UAE, or more somewhere in South Africa? So how does the teams go about and get these players? Either what you can do is have a pacer, have a medium pacer, and have a spinner to have all kind of aspects covered. But that's why I wanted to ask both of you all: how do you feel these guys actually can make a team when they don't know exactly what conditions are they going to play?
I mean, for me, it's like, you look at international cricket, right? International cricket, you have to play one day in one World Cup in UAE, one World Cup you have to play in Australia, so you have to have players for all conditions. And I think, yes, of course, it makes a huge difference where you're playing, but you have to go with what system you want to play, right? If you're Chennai, you want to play a more spin friendly, but also bowlers who can bat. If you're Mumbai or Delhi, you want to go with that fast bowling approach. For Mumbai Indians, they won IPL in Dubai in slow conditions with one proper spinner, which was Rahul Chahar. The rest were all
Correct.
fast bowlers. So I think you have to back your system and then ask your players to adapt to that. Of course, there could be a bit of luck, but you see, even KKR, I feel that they had a lot of good spinners, but they used those spinners in UAE and to good effect as well in the second leg. So you have to be like that. You have to adjust. You buy players, you buy spinners or fast bowlers who can adjust into both conditions. That's what you need.
But
Someone like
but
a
how do you know whom to invest more in?
So, so I can answer that one. So basically,
oh,
from what IPL teams actually see is who's more utility player, who's a more utility player, right? Like someone like a Harshal Patel, right? Let's take his example, or even Avesh Khan or anyone. They're more utility players compared to a raw pace category or a spinner category. Why? Because they can be used in every condition. They have those variations. They have those change ups that can be used for any different conditions that they play in, right? Irrespective of whether they're playing in Chennai, where it's slower, playing in Bangalore, which is faster, or UAE, which is mix of both. Like all these conditions, they all. That's why when Harshal Patel played in Bangalore, the very first season when he played, he didn't pick up that many wickets because he didn't have those many variations and stuff. Then he groomed himself. He made himself better. Look at how the pitches actually helped him when he went to UAE, because these are the kind of things that the IPL team is looking for, and that's what they need to invest on more rather than going just for namesake or going for players who are more like they have, of course, performed internationally and stuff, but they're not the ones that they should be investing more on. They should be investing more on these players that can be proven as utility players for yourself.
also it dictates like who you've already retained, right? Like Ahmedabad have got a Rashid Khan. They're not going to go for like a crazy spinner. They'll invest in a fast bowler. So it also looks at who do you have. It's the same
Yeah.
thing with batting. Like somebody like a West Indian player, they'll be more, I think, suited to Indian conditions. From what I've seen, them struggle in the UAE, but you can't really go with that because you don't know where they're going to play, right? So you pick up a Nicholas Puran, you also pick up a Johnny Bairstow who can play in UAE as well. That's how you have to go, and that's what I feel like. If you already have, it depends on what kind of bowlers you have and you need. Like Sunrisers have Umran Malik, who's a tearaway fast bowler, but they don't have a spinner. So maybe invest more in a Chahal and then get like, another seamer as well, something like that. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? If you already have a Rabada, go for a different kind of fast bowler. So it's also looking at who you have, and I think also it comes in the auction, right? Suddenly you have a player name, like what Vinay said is very true, but people do buy on reputation. I myself, if you put me in the auction, you give me Rabada's name, I'm going for him, right? So
Yeah,
if you do go for players like that, then it's about combination. It's about your combination. And I think Mumbai Indians, Delhi Capitals in the last few years, we can go also in Tash, but the formula they've cracked is a very good formula where you have bowlers, especially in the death overs, who can manage, who can like basically have an economy of like 7 or 6 and can defend basically 18 of 18.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Totally agreed with both of y'all, but still, like for example, if you're saying that a team like Ahmedabad already has Rashid Khan and they won't go for a good spinner, but what if they're playing in Gujarat itself? The ground is very much spinner friendly. So
Yeah.
that's always a back of mind question that this year
But
they
that's
might
the
not.
thing, right? But that's the thing. What if they move it to South Africa? Then like we don't know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
You have
exactly.
to
So
you
they
have to
have
even
to
it
be
out.
prepared. They have to be prepared.
You have to,
Coming to Vinay's point, Vinay, I just want to ask you one question. Just say the names.
full
That's it.
support.
Rabada or Harshal Patel?
At this point,
I'm just asking you Rabada or Harshal Patel. I'm not talking you this point, that point. I'm talking you to bowler. Rabada or Harshal Patel?
Rabada.
Okay. So as per his point, first he said people would like to look for bowlers who will bowl like Harshal Patel, who bowls like Harshal Patel or Avesh Khan rather than raw pace. So this is also a confusion in a team management's mind, right? For example, as you said, are we going for someone who is more named and who's done a lot of got international fame, as in by his talent, or someone who we back in the IPL who's not even played internationally but done extremely well for their teams? So this
The
is a very big question for your previous question, that which bowler will go for a higher bucks. And currently, as per the situation, I feel yes, Harshal Patel and Avesh Khan might be the top picks over Rabada, Cummins, and all these.
But what I'll just add to that is, Punter, of course, I'm saying like get spinners, get fast bowlers, but it'll dictate, right? Like you would, like if you already have a Rashid Khan, I don't think you're going to say buy a Chahal because the price will be a lot as well. So
Yeah.
like
Absolutely.
dictates, like I mean, like of course you have a very valid question, but if they go into that situation, it's going to be very difficult for them. So I'm trying to advise them. Who am I to advise? But I'm saying if I was in that position, I would try to look at how I can cover my bases. I want an excellent fast bowler. I want a backup fast bowler. I want a backup spinner. I want a very good spinner. That's my
Yeah.
idea. Go with that.
Yeah.
And then whatever I end up with, I end up with. Then I have to play to my strengths, right?
Correct.
Even if,
So,
yeah.
so you being a Delhi owner, you already have Nortje. Would you go for a Pat Cummins and a Rabada, or would you go for an Avish Khan or a Harshal Patel?
I will go for Avesh Khan or Harshal Patel at that point because I
If
already
I'm a
have
Delhi,
that.
if I'm a Delhi owner, I go with both, like they did last time. They got Avesh Khan and Rabada, right? I go with both.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, but do you think they would have that much money to spend on Avish Khan and Rabada? Is
So
the
then you
second
go with
question.
the next best. You go with the next best. You see, go for a Prasidh Krishna. Go for. There's going to be so many options. So you go with the next best. Go with a Shivam Mavi. Go with
Correct.
because you
Correct. So
can't.
they have to
Yeah.
compromise somewhere, right? They
Somewhere.
have
Not
to
as easy
compromise.
as
They
how
will,
we built our team, like cherry picking our players. It won't be that. It's not
it
gonna
won't
be
be
that.
that. It won't be that
Yeah,
easy.
Exactly.
that's the thing. I completely understand what you're saying, but I'm saying that you have to make the best out of the situation. You, in your head, you see the format that you want to bowl, right? I mean, play. You want to play with a heavy spin, whatever you want, but you have to go with the next best option. You can't say
Absolutely.
like,
You
okay,
basically
fine,
you basically want to create a team that can play you anywhere. Like it shouldn't be
exactly.
like one place here. Like I'm only playing in Chennai, so I only am gonna take spinners. No, that's not going to be the play
Yeah.
for IPL itself.
And also, Punter, it's not to say that like I always refer to Sunrisers. I probably pissed you guys off with that, but they
That's
won.
okay.
They won the championship with a heavy fast bowling attack. The spinner was Karan Sharma, and then they had Bipul Sharma to like bowl 1 or 2 overs. So you
But he
sometimes
won you the game.
look at the fact.
Vipul
He's a
Sharma, no,
batting
but Vipul
honestly.
Sharma even bowled well in that game.
Yeah, I
There
mean
was
that's
one
what I'm
game
saying. But he wasn't a spinner that they were relying on. They relied on
that's
Mustafa Zoom for the breakthroughs.
Yeah.
So you have to play to your
yeah,
strengths. It's not like they didn't want a spinner. I'm sure they wanted a spinner. That's why they
yeah,
went for Rashid after. But
Rashid Khan.
you have to. That's what you have to do. But yeah, let's talk a few more minutes and wrap it up. But Vinay, is there anything you would like to add to this
No,
conversation?
I'm just really excited for tonight's IPL auction. So hopefully, like I'll be up because it's starting at 12:30 here. So let's see what happens.
Big
And really
question:
excited
are
to
you supporting Delhi or Chennai?
Delhi.
It's
Are
supporting
you sure
Delhi.
by the end of the season you won't change, right?
No.
Okay.
Chennai
I
is
Uh,
hope
second.
this is recorded and
Chennai is
posted.
second now.
just let's go very quickly through the teams. We don't need to go into details, but
Yeah.
how we think they're going to just quickly invest, or how well they're going to invest. You think, because just from the history and stuff. Let's go, for example, Mumbai Indians. Punter, you're trusting your boys to pick well.
As I said, they might just get emotional towards Ishan Kishan and say Bolt. So they might lose big bucks on that. The other teams can play with their emotions. If they're smart enough, they might not, but I feel they will.
Yep. Punter, Vinay, Chennai all set with Dhoni.
He's gonna bring an experienced squad again. From what I can see, he's gonna bring in an experienced squad. So um, I think they're gonna do well. They're gonna do very much very smart buys who might not be big players, but they'll prove themselves in this IPL.
Do you
Yeah,
think they'll get Faf and Bravo back?
They'll definitely go for Fab. I don't know about Bravo at this point.
yeah, even me. Delhi Capitals, they've invested in some really good Indian players in the past, so you see more of that coming.
Definitely. I think it'll be a very Indian core heavy team that they're going to look at, and something that the new owner, since he's taken over the helm and stuff, they've actually invested more intelligently and grown these players much more better. Because the first season when they came as owners, we like Delhi actually were almost at the last. But after that, if you've seen the recent performances, they've stuck to that team. They've changed here and there a couple of players, but they've stuck to that team and they have always come into playoffs and stuff. So definitely something to look out for. They are definitely doing some intelligent buys there.
Yep, and Punter, the teams who might need a captain, Punjab, KKR, RCB, might invest in a captain. They might already have a captain that they're not disclosing, but you see these teams. How do you see? Let's just talk about RCB. You're okay with their past buys, and how do you think they're going to buy it?
I'm okay with the past buys, but I'm not okay with their current retention. Yeah, because I was shocked they did not retain Padikal. Because the way he was performing for RCB since past 2 years, I felt because there was a time when they lost KL Rahul like that, and the way he was performing for RCB, if you remember in the season where Virat made 900 runs, even KL had a huge contribution that year. So losing KL and then obviously he was injured, they couldn't get him back in the auction, but not retaining Padikal, I think, was a big mistake by them. Regarding captaincy, I don't know if they'll go for Maxwell or they might get an Indian captain. Uh, I'm not sure how Maxwell would play as a good captain in RCB because RCB usually, um, tend to back their foreigners to a certain extent and then they change them. So, like we've always seen teams struggling with having foreign captains. So maybe they might go for Indian captain. So I feel they might go, as we all know that they are looking for Shreyas again.
I just defend RCB a bit because, in the sense that I think that maybe the player didn't want to stay. He probably want to go into the auction for more money because you have a
Maybe
1, 2, 3 order, right? So maybe he didn't want to go for the fourth spot to be retained. Maybe they asked Chahal and Padikal and they both said no. So
yeah.
their priority was Maxwell, Kohli, and Siraj, and maybe that's why they couldn't retain the other players.
Yeah, that's why even Harshal Patel wasn't retained, right? Because he wanted to go
Yeah.
for big bucks in the auction.
Yeah. And then we have the two new teams, Lucknow and Ahmedabad. We don't know much. We'll see. The rising Pune Super Giants are the Lucknow owners, so we might see. They can't get Dhoni, but we might see some good buys. I honestly feel Gujarat is going to have a killer team, man. I just feel they're going to be the next Chennai Super Kings. They've invested, Hardik Pandya, Shubman Gill, and Rashid Khan. So they already have three slots, set. So I think they can go for it. To be very honest with you. And
Yeah, so
lastly, yeah.
they have the best thing, right? They have the opener, they have the middle order all rounder, and they have a great spinner. So
Yeah.
half of the team is done for them.
That's why I think they're going to be fiery. Rajasthan, I'll just say that there's going to be pressure now because they're no longer the money ball team where they invest in these players that we don't know. They're investing in huge players and they're not succeeding. So let's see how that goes. Again, Sanju Samson is there at the helm with Josh Butler. They have 1, 2, 3 sorted. They have Jaiswal as well. But then it's about going into and buying your bowlers. I think they'll have to go bowler heavy this time. So let's see.
They have Butler retained.
Yeah, Butler is retained.
Butler, Jaiswal, and Sanju Samson. But yeah, they'll have to go heavily in bowling. That's what I feel. And then we have the last two. Punjab, the biggest push, always the biggest problems. So yeah, let's see how they go in that sense. Again, you can say, Punter, how the hell did they not retain KL Rahul? But he didn't want to stay. And then if you look at Sunrise Hyderabad, same thing. Rashid Khan, they should have retained, but he didn't want to stay. So these two teams have big purses, but they'll have to buy smart.
100%.
One last thing.
What do you think about SRH? Who's going to be their captain?
Huh?
Who's going to be SRH's captain?
Okay, there's no question. Kane Williamson. Unless
So
you're hearing.
You're 100% sure this time, right?
Yeah, 100% sure. Because there's no option. If David Warner comes back, then again I'm going to be confused. But yeah, Kane Williamson is going to be the captain. I'm going to miss David Warner and Rashid Khan, but yeah, there's no doubt now you've retained him as the captain. He has to be captain. But because you said he's a foreign player, form, injury, flights, COVID, everything, you have to have a backup. So I'm looking for them to get what's his name, Ishan Kishan to be the next in 2 years' time. But honestly, I want to just have a backup person there for captaincy. Maher is before you let your horses go, I know you've been very patient, you focused, but Maher is asking how much is Shaheen Afridi worth?
15 crores.
Look, it depends how you look at it. If you look at it as a local, he's worth maybe 14 plus. If you look at it from foreign, maybe around 12, 13 crores. Fair estimate, 12 crores?
I feel he would have gone for max bucks if he was in the auction.
12, no, but then you have, if he's in the auction, or Babar Aslam's also in the auction, then Shadab is also in the auction.
I feel Rizwan and Shaheen would have picked up the max bucks.
What about Shadab, man?
Shadab is doing well in PSL. Yes, he is showing a crazy all-round performance. But I still feel Rizwan and Shaheen would have taken a big. They might have just broken the locker.
Yeah. Yes, Vinay, you wanted to ask something, dude.
No, I don't know if you guys read the news, but the auction list has changed. It's 600 people now.
Wow, were the Omani players coming?
Sorry?
Were the Omani players coming? Who were the extra?
No, so they added a lot of under 19 players.
Bana is in now?
10 under 19 players. They haven't revealed who the 10 under 19 players
Bana
are.
is in, bro.
They even brought in the ambidextrous spinner, Nivedin Radhakrishnan.
He's Australian, though, right?
Yeah, he's also in the auction now.
Oh, wow. So I think Dinesh Bana, but you're asking now, he'll probably be in the auction. He wasn't in the list, but
the list just changed today. There's 600 players now.
Vinay with the breaking news. Vinay, give us some inside information. Who is going where? Like any big players? Do we know anything?
I don't have any information, man.
If you have information, do let us know. But
yes, for sure.
Do also let us know where is the IPL going to happen.
March 27th.
Most likely Mumbai.
Oh,
where?
The thing is, I think it'll start at Mumbai because that's what they're saying, but then it can move, right, depending on the cases.
It's most likely going to be Mumbai with the 3 stadiums because they have the closest proximity for like 3 stadiums there. So simultaneous matches can happen, right? Brabant, Wankhede, as well as D.Y. Patel. So that's probably the location that they've zeroed on at this point.
But
Yep.
I feel Mumbai being so populated, having like 10 teams in one place sounds very,
They
no.
won't be in the same hotel, so they'll have to like probably
Obviously,
have
Vinay,
like
they won't
different
be in the same
hotels.
hotel. They will
Yeah,
be in different hotels, but in
yeah.
the same city, right? So
Who's not going to be in the same hotel?
Like the
all the
IPL
he was
teams.
saying all 10 teams in the same hotel.
But we have finished out off on style. Our very good friend is asking a question. Milan, it's better to have loyal players. No, he's making a statement. I think it's better to have loyal players who perform more than having biggest purse. Important thing they need to do is to find a good captain and let him build the team. Management can focus on branding instead. I think this is a good point. I think he's talking about the teams who don't have a captain. That's what he's
Yeah.
talking about, maybe like an RCP. And yeah, if you guys have any other questions, let us know. But yes,
The
Vinay.
problem with that statement that I see, so someone like Shreyas Iyer, if the teams are actually buying him as a captain or anything, they can't actually ask him what he wants as team, right?
That's a very good point.
They can't really like other teams like Dhoni and stuff. They've already decided, right?
That's an excellent
Who the
point.
captain is, so they can actually provide that input that these are the kind of players I want. But
Yeah.
for an unknown team who doesn't have a captain, how is the captain going to give any input in terms of what team he wants?
Yeah. Milan is saying Punjab Kings, but even there, maybe Mayank Agarwal might be the captain. Maybe they're doing
Who
what
knows?
Vinay said, that they're just keeping him captain so that he at least he knows who they can buy and stuff. Otherwise, they don't have that guidance. You know, you need
Yeah.
it'll help if the captain is there, and that's why the first season, I think all 8 captains were announced before the auction, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Was it? Was it like that?
Not for Chennai.
Maybe
Chennai,
a few.
Dhoni
Maybe
was
a few.
bought in the auction, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Then it's not the case. Pardon me, but is Krunal Pandya overrated? Punter, this is a question from Mahir.
Yes, he is, but he definitely, it's like on his day he'll give you wickets, he'll make runs for you.
Exactly.
Again,
So
Mahir,
it's like,
it's about branding. Gujarat, if he goes plays with his brother, the two Gujju boys taking over, it changes everything. You know, a few innings here and there. It doesn't really matter if he's doesn't perform all the time, but it's about attracting the fans and the crowds, and even if they're watching at home, just getting those eyeballs on the TV. So, anything to add?
100%. No, I'm good. I like
Okay.
Oh,
Krunal
we're just
Pandya.
agreeing with you.
Krunal Pandya can be a master pick or can be a so.
Yeah.
But he
It's
is
on his
definitely an
day.
overrated.
Yeah.
Let me end it. Let's go like in 1 minute. I know you guys have to go, but I just want to say my dream, well, not dream, but of course, dream is that Sunrise pick good players. But the funniest thing for me would be that if Krunal Pandya and Deepak Hooda both get drafted by Ahmedabad, I think that would be the smartest marketing gig, because that would be breaking headlines. Even though I think the outside world won't care too much, but in India, this will be blowing up like this. That kind of news. I think that'd be the funniest thing for me.
By the way, Deepak Hooda has been moved from uncapped category to cap category, and his base price has increased.
Yes. Yes, Vinay. His base price is
This
increased.
year, this year, yeah, this year IPL Fantasy League is going to be sad because of uncapped players.
His base price has increased to 70 lakhs, 75 lakhs
Yeah, 75 lakhs.
instead of 40.
He deserves it.
Yeah.
Yep, finish it off on
And he
Sun.
moves from set 8 to set 3 now also.
This set thing is really disturbing me, because
Yeah,
I
it's
need
kind of weird for me. Yeah.
I need Ishan
I used
Kishan
to
in the
like the
first set.
earlier thing.
No, that's completely fine, but put Ishan Kishan in the first set, man. But you know, it
No,
also
that's Mumbai's plan. So I don't
but
disturb
that's
that.
embarrassing. That's embarrassing. Imagine, like, one guy's in the first set, third set, they're sitting together in a group and like saying like, "Oh, look at it, this guy is like." It's imagine. I feel bad if
Just
I'm
a
like.
call went through. That's the reason. Don't worry about it. Just a call.
Hardik Pandya, Krunal Pandya, and Rashid Khan, all-rounders for Gujarat Titans. Very possible, sir. I think Gujarat Titans, like I said, I think they might be a very strong team in the IPL.
True.
They might, being first time in the IPL, they might go for like big players and stuff. That's what I
And
feel.
Vinay Pandya, Gujarat Lions came top of the table in that season that Sunrisers won.
Yeah.
Top of the table.
They had
were
Finch,
more
they had
masterclass.
McCullum, they had Raina as the captain. They
Yeah.
were
I think
pretty good.
Finch was there. Finch or Roy, one of these guys, or both of these
Finch
guys.
was Finch.
Yeah.
Finch was the opening batsman. Finch, McCullum, and I think even Dwayne Smith.
Yeah, Dwayne Smith, Suresh Raina was there. Yeah, there was some Kulkarni or someone might have been there as well. But they
Dhawal
had,
Kulkarni. Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, watch out for Gujarat for sure. I think watch out for Gujarat. Always watch out for Mumbai. They're very professional. Watch out for Chennai. Watch out for everybody. I think it's going to be crazy. I just hope that we see some smart bids. And because it's 10 teams, I don't want one team to be too weak. We might have to see that, but I hope that it's at least a bit of balance. And at the end of the day, we all thought that I don't know. I thought that Rajasthan Royals had the worst auction and Deccan Chargers had the best auction in 2008, and completely the opposite happened. So it's not about big names, like our audience said that the who you buy matters as well, right? The whole team, and you guys also mentioned you should have a good core.
Yeah.
Thank you,
They
guys.
also had Ishan Kishan and Jadeja.
Sorry,
They also had Ishan Kishan and Jadeja.
Ishan Kishan and Jadeja, Gujarat.
Yeah.
So, and that's the thing. There's going to be more players, more teams now as well. So that's going to be interesting to see. We'll see the likes of, I think, Mishra and Ashwin also getting bought, and maybe even Raina Uttappa might get bought as well. So yeah, plenty of opportunity. The guys who don't get bought, they're going to be a bit sad, but hopefully we get to see some fun. Thank you guys for joining me. Any last questions?
Musti, ask Don to give all the teams so that we can make fun of him tomorrow.
I miss Don, but he'll probably catch us tomorrow. And he's also helped us a lot. And so have you guys. And I will catch you tomorrow. Enjoy the auctions, and let's chat then soon.
Yeah. Hopefully good teams coming up.
Yeah. Take care, guys. Take care. Thank you so much.
Yeah.